Hello everybody out there in Flosstube world. This is Vicki, aka the Virginia Stitcher, coming to you with my Flosstube video number 37. Today is March 8th of 2023. It's a Wednesday. Just went and got my hair cut this morning and I had enough time. I thought I'd go ahead and get a video in since it's been about 3 weeks since my last video. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, I think my camera's on this side. So I'm going to make sure I'm looking at the camera, so that I'm looking at you guys instead of myself when I look over here. I was trying to figure out which side of my device had my camera on it. So hello. Welcome everybody to my channel. This is my channel about cross stitch and my cross stitch journey. So thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It's a wonderful journey. And I've got a lot to show you guys today because I'm going to show you what I've been working on this past 3 weeks. So those are my WIPs, my works in progress that I'm going to show you. And I also have a few past finishes I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. I happen to be digging through one of my storage totes in my storage room down here in the basement, and I found some of my old cross stitch pattern things that I had finished back in the 90s. These are probably back in the 90s because I know a couple of them have dates like 1992 and things like that on them. So I'm going to show you those. And I've also got a tiny bit of haul and with a featured designer. And also a couple of little, one little organization idea and one other little idea that I gleaned from another Flosstube channel. And I will mention that when I get to that part. So without further ado, so that this doesn't take forever and ever, I'm going to get started and show you all of the WIPs that I have, because I think I counted about 10 WIPs, works in progress, that I've worked on these 3 weeks because I flit around a lot. And as you can see, I have several projects because there's more than just what's shown behind me. This is what I call my WIP wall. It's a organizational cube system. I bought 2 of these 9 cube systems from Target and butted them up against each other. Right here, they're butted up against each other. So this is where they both meet. And then on the bottom cubes, I put the containers. And then on the top 2 rows, I just have them open. So I can see all my pretty projects sitting here. So when I'm sitting over and stitching over in this side of my craft room, I can see all my lovely projects sitting here, and sometimes that might be what makes me squirrel. I don't know. Everything does. I wouldn't think I'm ADD, but I sure am with my stitching. So I just stitch on what I love, and as long as I'm feeling it, I stitch on it. And some of these projects, you'll see that when I show them to you, some of them I worked on for maybe 4, 5, 6 days, and some I worked on for 1 day. So you'll see the different progress on the different pieces. So let's go ahead and get to that. The first one that I'm going to show you is, I did pick this up and work 1 more day on this. I think I showed it to you last time. And this is by Heartstring Samplery, Beth Twist. This is, his eye is on the sparrow. And it looks like this. This is a large project, but I am loving it. Look at all those motifs. I am stitching this on a piece of, what is that? Oh, Vintage Country Mocha 32 count Lugana, in the color Vintage Country Mocha. And I'm using most of the called for overdyed threads, but I had to sub in a few that I couldn't find when I was kitting this up. So I just picked colors that I thought, threads that I thought were close enough to the color that was called for. And this is a large piece of fabric here. So let me go ahead and fold it in half. And I will show you this. So this is where I am on this piece. Oop. Why every time I hold this one up, it always seems to want to stay crinkled. But here it is. Let me see if I can get it all in the frame. So this is how far I am on this one. And you can see I also brought the border. Can you see that? I'm behind it. I can't see. I also brought the border on the one side down a little bit farther. I just need to put the flowers on that side of the border. But what I worked on this time when I picked it up, I had showed you before, I had these two sections of the house done, but I came in and I did this one. I don't think I had any of that one done last time. So that's where I was working, was in this house. And I finished the rest of this vine cartouche because it'll have my initials and the year that I finish it put in the middle of this, but I'm not going to do that till I come to the finish line on this piece. But I do have to tell you, there are mistakes in this piece right here. I was looking at it and I was thinking, but you know what? It looks good enough. I will just try to remember not to count any of these motifs over here off of this. Instead, I will count them off of the motifs themselves, or off the house, or off of here, or the flowers up here in the border, because I'm off somewhere on this and I didn't feel like messing with it because I think it'll work. If I didn't say it, I don't think anybody would know. I even had a suggestion by a couple of you when I showed this the last time. I was talking about how this flower and this urn right here were on kind of like maybe 3 different pages. Like it was cut here and it was cut here down this side. And it was hard for me to flip in the book. My pattern is actually in book format. So, and I had to flip from, you know, page 3 to page 7, back to page 3 to page 5, whatever. You know, I was having troubles flipping all through this one and keeping it lined up. So I had a couple of suggestions to make a working copy. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I guess because I don't usually make working copies of my pieces, but I thought, you know what, good idea. I'll make a working copy. So I even made a working copy of this one and was even highlighting as I was stitching this, and I still messed it up because I was having a hard time following that for some reason. That was really giving me fits. But this is where I am on his eye is on the sparrow. So loving the progress that I'm getting on this one. I've seen where people have switched the color of the house, and I thought, man, that would have been, I wish I would have done a different color, but I'm actually liking kind of how the house is kind of bright and stands out. So I'm going to leave it because, of course, I'm not going to frog out all of that. That's too much. So that is my WIP number 1. I did work on that for a little while, maybe a couple of days. Day or 2 on that one, trying to get the rest of that house finished in this one. And like I said, the rest of that green viney cartouche thing. And like I said, I think it was at the end, I think I was just stitching on it for, you know, a few hours, and I saw that I was all messed up on it, and I thought, you know what, it met up good enough for me. I'm just gonna leave it. So that's what I decided to do on that one. And this one I had showed to you the last time. This one was I was inspired to stitch on this one by Heidi. She's stitching Faye on Flosstube, and she is Callie_Heiko on Instagram. But she had finished this piece. Hopefully you can see it well enough. And I loved it. And she had done it as an anniversary piece, which is what I'm going to do also, by putting the year of our marriage, my husband and I, and our initials here. So I'm going to put V and M. My husband's name is Mark. I'm gonna do that with this one. So I had showed it to you last time. I'm stitching this one on 32 count vintage country mocha also. And I am using, I think they're the called for DMCs. Yeah, I'm using the DMCs for this one. And when I use DMC, I do the loop start method because I usually work with 2 threads. So I usually work with, stitch with 2, and I do the loop start. And so I take a double long piece, and then I take the 2 ends, I put them together, thread that through my needle, and then I have a loop at the bottom that I use to kind of catch my thread, to anchor it when I'm starting my thread on my piece. So, and then these were my floss drops that I made back before StitchCon, and I was giving out to people at StitchCon, and I still had a bunch left. So I just put them on my floss drops. And like I said, I'm stitching this on 32 count vintage country mocha. And here I am on this piece. Let me go ahead and put this board. I did grab my board this time. So what I had done was, I had showed you last time that I had all of this down here done. I'd started down here, filled all that in, and then I had done the bones of this, and I was filling this in, and I still had, you know, a good chunk over here left to do, to fill in. And then I came and I went ahead and I put all of the bones in for this part, where now I just have to fill it in with black, with 310. So that's one side of her skirt, and then there's the other side still. So one day when I, you know, just want some easy stitching, I don't know if you can see through the plastic. I don't want to crinkle too much. I usually don't take things out of plastic, but I want you guys to see it also when I'm trying to explain it. So this was one side of the skirt, so I just have to fill it in with 310. So I'll come over and I'll also do this side eventually, and then I'll work up and I'll finish her. That's my goal next when I pull this up, is try to, you know, I want to get her finished. And then, you know, fill in and work my way over to the gentleman on the page, on the piece. So that is my progress on Love Never Fails by Barbara Anna. I'm sorry I didn't say what it was. Love Never Fails by Barbara Anna. And Heidi also has this. I was watching her latest video. She just put one up a couple of days ago maybe. And I was watching it. And she has this sitting on the mantle behind her. So, and somebody else just recently that I was watching had it hanging on the wall behind, to the side of them. And I was thinking, oh, there's somebody else who stitched this one. It's a really cute folks artsy piece. I'm finding that I must be liking folk art type of pieces also. I mean, I'm kind of eclectic. I like a lot of different things. Now this next one was my birthday start last year. My birthday's in April, so this will be coming up on its 1-year anniversary since I started it. And this is Elizabeth Weston by Hands Across the Sea. And I had started up here in the upper left-hand corner. So I was working at trying to get this, the border across, and I was filling in some down here. I'd already had this flower part in and some of these flowers right here. And I am stitching this one on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color Stone Gray. Yeah, Stone Gray. And she is going to be a big piece. So I wrangle her up here and get her at least in half so I can hold her up. So this is what I had done. I'd already had this area done, but I'd come in, I put this basket in, I'd put this in, all of this down here, and I think I had the border up to about here. So I came in and I extended the border all the way across. So this is how wide she is. So this will be her width right here. So hopefully I'm getting that all on the screen. And this is what I have done on her so far. So I'm loving how she's looking. She's a very enjoyable piece to stitch. So far, this is all just cross stitch. There are no specialty stitches so far, but there is some wording that goes right in here, and that is over one. There's over one wording there. And I think there might be, see this wording right in here? The capital letter is in regular size, and it's over 2, but all of this is over 1. And I believe there's some satin stitches in here also. So if you are considering stitching this one, there is a little bit of that, but there's not, let me think. I think there might be some eyelets, maybe. Let me see, let me look. There is a lazy daisy stitch. I don't think there's a whole bunch of those through here though. And then there's a specialty stitch for the center of some of the flowers in here. And it looks like a satin stitch. And that's it. She really doesn't have a whole lot of specialty stitches. A little bit of 1 over 1, a little bit of satin stitches, a little bit of some a couple of other little ones. Nothing difficult, nothing that you couldn't do. So, because some hands across the sea have a lot of specialty stitches, queen stitch and all kinds of stuff. But this is her. This is her. I'm loving her. She is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Give you a close-up of the main part I have finished so far on her. Isn't she pretty? She is pretty. She is gorgeous. So I'm trying to regularly pull her out and work on her some because she is quite large and I don't want her languishing and not getting any work done on her. So another one that's a little bit large, and this was started last year around the same time because this came out in this was a market release last year. So I started this in April with my friends Madeline, Cindy, and Paula. And let's open to the chart. This is Teresa Kogut's Let Love Rain book. This one has a few designs in it, but what we are working on in here is the sampler of Let Love Rain. And I know you probably have seen this one. It looks like this. Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. And of course, I did an upper left-hand start up here. And she is being stitched on a piece of ivory. I think this is 28 count ivory Logana, because my stitches are a little looser on this one. So I think it's just a 28 count for this one. Let me fold this one in half too, because she's going to be a big one too. So she's got a big piece of fabric. And this is where I am on this piece. So when I came and worked on this last time, I filled in these flowers in the border around. So I still got a couple more flowers to do here down. But I've turned the corner and I think I just had the word let and in your. So I finished the wording here, put these little symbols in. I still got to finish this one. And I think that's it. I think that's what I had done in this piece so far this time. I am missing the little eye and beak on this bird. And I still need to put the bird in this on this tree on the other side because it's kind of a mirrored image there. I am loving this one also. It is so pretty. So this is where I am on Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. I'm using all of the called for except I wanted my blue a little bit brighter than the called for, and I think the green in these leaves was called for Oscar, and my Oscar was too brown. I wanted it a little bit greener, and that's the only thing I think I switched. So instead of the green, I'm using a combo of Cobblestone Moss by Victorian Motto and DMC 3011. So if you don't have the Victorian Motto, but you like the color green I'm using, you can also use 3011 DMC because they're very similar in color. Very similar. So I'm just using a mixture of both. I'm using this for the border, the vining around the border, and then I'm filling in parts with the Cobblestone Moss. And then I had switched my blue to Forget Me Not by Victorian Motto, just to have a little brighter blue than the one that was called for. Oh, and also I'm using 17th century old lace for the whiter color. This one's just a little whiter than the called for. I can't remember what the called for was in this one. Let's see if I can find the chart. Color key. Where is it? Here it is. I think it was called for cream, 712 DMC. And instead I'm using that whiter color. And then for the Oscar, or they're saying, or DMC 732. So you could do a DMC, but instead I'm using the 3011 DMC. And what was the blue? Why do I not see blue on here at all? Brown, 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 cream, beige, coffee, gray, avocado, hazel. the wrong one? Yeah, I think I like I said, there's several patterns in here. But it was Oscar, though, is still the called for the green, and 712 for the cream. But why am I not finding the key for the Let Love Rain piece? I copied it. Well, I copied it. It's in my bag. Let me look here. It was supposed to be a gray-green medium color. This one here, I'm doing for Forget Me Not, for that color. And it's a DMC 926. But instead I wanted it a little bluer. So I got the bluer color. Just something I pulled out of my stash that I already had. So that's where I am on Let Love Rain. Still loving that piece also. And I'm trying, like I said, to pull this one out every so often and get some more work on it. Because on my large projects, I'm really trying to be good about, you know, and it's when I feel like it too, but rotating them in quite often when I can. I would like to touch on them every month, but if I could at least touch on them every couple of months, if I can't get around to them every month. Oh my goodness. Now I made a mess of my bag. I'll just let it over there. Now this one is one that I only worked on for one day. I felt like getting this one out, and then I worked on it a little bit, and then I kind of set it aside and was working on something else. But this one, hopefully this won't glare too much. This is Ink Circle's Dog's Declaration. Looks like this. And I'm all up in here. I started up in the upper left-hand corner. I'm stitching this one on a piece of 32 count antique white Lugana. And I'm using the called for DMCs. They actually use Valdani threads, but there is a conversion for the DMC, and I'm using their DMC conversion that they offer. So that's what I'm going to fold in half so it's less see-through, and I can hold it up better. So here's where I am on Dog's Declaration. And I had the words life and liberty in there also already. And what I had come in and done is I did this red dog. He kind of reminds me of Clifford the Big Red Dog. When my girls were little, they had a little DVD of Clifford the Big Red Dog they'd watch every now and then. And then I took and I started what's going to be a big tree here. So from here, this starts kind of a dusty purple color. And then I started up in the tree. And it connects to the B in Liberty. So that's what I was working on this one. So far I have two doggies in here. I had this little orange puppy in, and now I got this big red dog. A couple of squirrels, and I think I have a bird in here so far. But when you look, there are so many little, I can't remember how many dogs I counted in here. So this is what I had done, was this dog, and I started up into this tree, but this is a really beautiful tree. Lots of colors and lots of design in it. So I still have, here's another little puppy. Here's one. I mean, they're all through here. Dogs, squirrels, and birds. All through here. And then trees. And at the very bottom is a little doghouse. Right in the center bottom. Look at that. A little bone. It's so cute. I have two puppies and also I squirrel in my cross stitch. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of squirrels. Yes, yes, yes. That is this house. Okay. My dogs bark at squirrels, but they more bark at the UPS delivery guy. The Amazon guy or whoever is coming to do deliveries. My next one is one of the pieces that I started for my 12 by 12 on New Year's Eve day. It was hosted by Kia B at Kia B's Quilting and Pam Schaffner at Just Keep Stitching. And I think there was just those two ladies that were hosting it. So one of the pieces that I got out and I did a 1 hour start on was this Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. And I had just gotten this a little bit of this border in, a little bit of this zigzag and one line across. And what I'm trying to do is the pieces that I started for my new 12 by 12 by New Year's, I wanted to get each of those pulled up and get some more progress on them. I didn't want them to sit there all year with just like a little line, you know, a little 1 hour start on them. So I'm trying to pull each and every one out, and I think I've gotten to 4 of them so far. I've worked on 4. I think I have 2 left. I have In at Fox River Mill and the Bent Creek Row Begin Row. I have 2 more, I think, left to get some progress on. I am stitching this one with the called for over-dyed threads, all of the Weeks Dye Works. So they're kind of the typical Blackbird colors, the primitive, dusty colors. And this one is on a 28 count Lugana in the color Wheat by To Dye For Fabrics. And let me fold this one. I was able to come in and work a couple of days on this one, a day or 2, and I got this much more done. So I brought the zigzaggy border down. I brought another line across the bottom here, and I did these 3. Well, I got to finish the leaves on the pear stem and the center of this flower here. There's a little, I think it's an eyelet or something that needs to be put in there. Haven't done that yet. This is where I am. Oh, and also, I don't think I am doing all the called for except for this pear. I didn't have, where's my copy of the key, color key? I did not have the chives, Gentle Arts chives, and it said you could switch and use DMC 987. There's a little asterisk next to 3 of them because it said, the asterisk says it can easily use DMC as not much of this color is used in the sampler. So if you didn't want, and I love when a designer does that. Instead of going and buying a more expensive, you know, whole skein of an over-dyed thread, if there's only a few stitches in the piece, and that I like when they give you the DMC conversion and tell you that you can absolutely use the DMC because it's not going to make a big difference because there's not much of it used, and so that way you're not buying a whole skein for a few stitches. So I thought, okay, on the 3 that were asterisked, I would just use the DMC color. So I highlighted, I am using the DMC here, but when I looked up this 987, it is a really bright grass green color. I wish I had had brought it out here. And I didn't think it was going to work with all of the other colors. The outer part of this isn't an overdyed, this isn't overdyed, and that's an overdyed. So the part is kind of the fill-in where it's kind of this tealy green that I used. And a bright grass green would have just been like, my pear would have been sticking out way too much, opposed to the rest of the piece. So instead I picked up Chopped Chives by Classic Colorworks instead of Chives by Gentle Arts. So those are that's my only conversion, and I am going to use the 2 DMC colors listed for those 2 pieces. So that's where I am on Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. Put everything back in his bag. So I'm loving this fabric. I think my colors are looking really good on this Wheat by To Dye For Fabrics. Love it. Kind of a yellowy tan. It's really pretty. Okay, the next WIP that I worked on, I only really did get a couple of days on this one. I didn't spend a lot of time on this one. This is by the Blue Flower. Get it out of here. And it's called Huckleberry Farm. And it looks like this. So I had, I'd started up here and worked my way across. So I had this Huckleberry branch down to about here and all of this across. So I wanted to come in and get this Huckleberry, part of this Huckleberry branch in. I don't think I quite finished it, getting that in, but I worked on it. And this is in a piece of 16 count Ada by Picture This Plus in the color Glacier. And this is where I am on this piece. So like I said, I was working over here. And there's a lot of color changes because there are 3 different colors of berries. Plus there's one little lighter color in the center of each of these berries. And then there's 2 colors for each of these little white buds, little flowers on it. And a couple of colors for each of these leaves. And then you got the branch. So there's a lot of counting and color changing. So it took me a little while to get that in there. I'll show you that a little bit more up close. Like I said, this is 16 count Ada by Picture This Plus in the color Glacier. I like the little bee and the little bear. Look at that little bear. And I love the mountains and I just love the whole thing so far. The blue flower, and this is Huckleberry Farm. Isn't that pretty? So I'm almost across the top. And what's cute is in the ABCs here in the middle, it says A, B, C, D, E, F, and this says 1 for me, because as you're collecting the berries, and then it says 1 for the basket. So 1 for me, 1 for the basket, 1 for me, 1 for the basket. I love it. I used to go strawberry picking. Haven't done that in a few years. And I used to do that. My mom and I would go. There was a place here in Fredericksburg, Belvedere Plantation, that you could go and pick strawberries. You could go and buy a whole flat of berries, strawberries, or you could pick your own. And we would go and pick them. And I remember one year my daughter, she was with us because she was only maybe 4, my younger daughter, so she wasn't in school. And we took her with us, and she was sitting there eating them as she was picking them. You know, she was going along and she was eating them. We were telling her, no, don't get any of the ones that have any green on them. Get the nice red berries, you know. So she was going along and helping us. But after a few minutes, she goes, my tummy hurts. I said, are you eating the berries? Stop eating the berries. Because I think she was eating more than she was putting in the tray in our basket. So she learned a little lesson there. The next piece that I worked on some, oh, I was enjoying this one. I worked on this one for a few days. Let me take it out of the plastic because I don't think it's going to show real well. This is one of my Hawk Runs. And this one is Map of Hawk Run, hollow. Looks like this. This is a Marty Barrick design. Kathy and Marty are sisters, and they both were doing Carriage House. I don't think Kathy's doing it anymore. It's Marty. Might be wrong. Not 100% sure, but that's what I think it is. Well, Marty is the one that designed this one, this Hawk Run. So that's what that one looks like. And I'm stitching this one on a piece of 16 count Ada by Picture This Plus in the color Heartland. And I might have to put a board behind this one. Get a board. Get my board. And here I am on my Hawk Run hollow piece. Look at him. I'd already had the hawk all the way done. And I'd already had these trees in, and I had the border up to about here finished. I had this building in, had this much of the river, the bridge, and most of this banner. So where I was working, oh, and I had the little horse and the farmer. But look at my horse. Do you ever remember those of you that are old enough? Back in, I think it was the very early 90s, because my older daughter was really little. But she liked the show. It was called Alf. And he was a little alien puppet thing that was supposed to have been from outer space and was living with this family. A little orange creature. And my horse, he's stitched wrong. His head is stitched wrong. So I need to frog him out and fix him. But his nose reminds me of Alf. Look at my horse. He needs a little bit of help. So I still need to kind of frog him out up here and fix him. But where I was working, I had done up to basically a page break here. So I had to finish the tail end of this banner that the hawk is holding. I did the barn. And then I had a little bit of the crops up to like here done. So I finished the roadway, did the rest of the crops here, did this N, and I had started on this sun compass. That was a lot of stitching in that sun. I was spending a good day on him and still didn't finish him. So I still have to fill in all of his little rays of light that are coming out of him and the center of his face, of the little face. But I had also did these two birds. I still have to finish them. They got red on their, a red color, like this color in the barn is on the ends of their tails, and they have little beaks and eyes. But there's another bird that goes here, so I need to put him in also. So I put this border this far across, and I worked all over in here. So I worked on this for good, maybe 3 days, but I'm loving it. And I still got to fix my Alf horse. He's got a long, funny snout on him. So looks a little bit like an alien horse. He looks a little funky. So hopefully I don't forget and then frame it. And then I'm looking at it later going, oh no, I have a weird looking little horse there. And I am using the called for DMCs with that one. So I'm using all DMC. And, oh, not all the called for, I'm sorry. I switched out the blue in the water for a brighter blue. So the water was a little lighter color. I switched out that one and a couple of the green colors because the green and the trees, they all kind of looked too much alike. The ones that were the called for the DMC colors anyway. And so I wanted my trees to have a little more dimension. And so, because if you're going to be switching colors, you want it to show that you switch colors and not all blend in together completely. So I switched those a little bit. This next one I pulled up and I worked on one day. Whoops, that's not it. And this is by Long Dog Samplers, and this is Pandemic. Let me find the chart. Let me find the picture to show you. Here we go. And let's see if it'll show in the bag. And it looks like this. It's a rather large piece. This one I am stitching on a piece of 16 count Aida in the color, this one, I think this is a color in cotton, and I think this one is called Old Stationery, I believe, by Color and Cotton. And I am using Silks for You PR128. Show you. So Silks for You PR128. And I am using this color. It's a variegated that runs through all of these colors. And this is the only piece right now that I am stitching with one thread. So I'm using one thread. This is on an 18 count Aida. And one thread, two thread was giving me too bulky of coverage. So I decided I was just going to do one thread for this one. And I worked on it one day more. So here we are. Put this behind it. And what I had done, I got this needle minder at StitchCon from Colette, the Highway Stitcher, Colette Kingsley. But I came in and I did this little symbol, the little squirrel, and all of this in this middle part right here. So I was working on it one day and I put all that in there. But and I'm letting the variation in the silk just be organic. I'm not trying to, like finagle the colors any. I'm just letting it, as I stitch, let the colors come through. So that's this piece so far. We got a long way to go on this one. I had started this one with a purple variegated DMC color on a whiter color of Aida, and I wasn't filling the DMC on that one, so I switched to that color, and I'm liking it better. I'm liking it a lot better. This next one is my One Nation piece by Bygone Stitches. So this is the one that has the flag with all of the states listed in the order that they joined the Union, and 50 of these floral motif stars, Quaker floral motifs. And I am stitching this one with a Silks for You for the red. Let me get my colors out of the bag. The Silks for You color, I had a piece of paper that told me what color it was. I'm using ecru for the white, just DMC ecru. And I'm using Victorian Motto Delphinium for my blue. And I'm using a Silks for You red. And I thought I had the number of which red it was. Oh yeah, here we go. Silks for You PR126 is my red. And I am stitching this on a piece of 28 count? Yes, 28 count Lugana by Seraphim Fabrics in the color Haunted. And this is my piece. Let's see if I can back up far enough. This is where I am so far on this piece. So what I had stitched on this time, I put in a couple of stars. I still need to put the blue center in, but I wait till I have a few and then I get out a piece of blue and I fill those all in because there's only a few stitches in the middle of each of those. And I had put in these two states over here. I put in Alabama and Maine. And brought the red line across because I had it in my Q-snap and I had this area inside my Q-snap area. So I was just working there. I still need to come across and put the states in that are on this bottom line over here. But here's another one of those areas in the project, in this project, where it's on two different pages. So I'm going to have to suck it up and do it. That's the stitching I don't like. I know, I understand why they have to do it on several pages, but sometimes I'm like, you know, I got to make sure I don't mess up and, you know, get it correct. So I'm just going to have to look at both pages and work along and do these few states and just suck it up and get that done. Because once I do that, there's only a page break like down the center of this long line. And the rest of the stripes that'll go along the bottom should be okay, except for where it just breaks. So I've still got, I don't know, 32 more states or something like that left to stitch in. And what I was doing, I live in Virginia. I'm the Virginia stitcher, so I live in Virginia. So I stitched the state that I'm living in blue. And then my husband was born in New York, so I stitched that in gold. And that's another Victorian Motto color. And then when we get to the state I was born in, California, I'll stitch that one in gold. So that one's down here somewhere, down a little bit farther still. I contemplated putting Hawaii, you know, blocking in all the states that we lived in and stuff, but I thought, nah, that just gets too many colors going on. And I didn't want to do that. I want to, you know, love this fabric that it's on. And the gold color by Victorian Motto I'm using is Poppy. P-O-P-P-Y, Poppy. So, there's my One Nation piece. This was one for a while there because I knew I'd get bored just stitching letters and those star motifs. And I had said, you know, a way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So I thought, if you've ever heard of that saying, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to do a star and a state a week. And there's 52 weeks in a year and there's 50 stars and 50 states. So I should be able to get it done in a year. Well, I took a break from it. I wanted to do some fall stitching and some winter Christmas stitching because those are two of my favorite seasons to do stitching for. So I took a break from this one for a little while and I wasn't doing it for, I don't know, 3 months maybe. So that didn't get any work done on it. And the last WIP I worked on, I just worked on it one day. And this is by Shakespeare's Peddler. And that's Kitten Stitcher, Teresa Vignette. And it's a Savior's Praise. And it looks like this. And I started up in here. And I am stitching this one on, I am using all of the called for DMCs. And like I said, they're double the length because I'm using 2 threads. Stitching this one on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color taupe, T-A-U-P-E, taupe. And this is where I am on this piece. So I think the color is great for these threads, because even though these are kind of ghosted, they're not as bad as in the picture, because in the picture you really can't see them, those letters, that color. So at least that is showing up on my fabric. And so are the light colors, you know, these light colors. What I had done this time was I wanted to finish filling in this part of the border, so I was just missing this flower and all of these little red dots. They're little 4 stitch dots. And then I came in and I'd already had about up to here done, so I think I was missing the leaf. And then I had this flower in, but I needed to, I put the word hope and all of this over here. So, and I started this big flower vase over here, and I put in, I think, the letter D. So that's what I did on this one. So that's how far I am on A Savior's Praise. And I had said before, I just love this unique border. There's no repetition in it. It is complete. It's filled with motifs, flower vines, all going in different directions. Like here is a ship with some water. A little house, you know, there's a vase here, all these different words. I love all the different words in it. And because it says, oh, I didn't bring glasses over here. It says like faith, joy, hope. I've already stitched those 3 words in. And then on the other side of the vase here, it says the greatest of these is love. And then it says patience, right judgment, humility. I mean, all of these beautiful, beautiful adjectives. So I love that one. And that was the end of my WIP. So that's what I had been working on for the last 3 weeks. The next thing that I wanted to show you was some of my previous finishes that I had that are just sitting. They never got framed. These pieces here. One did. I'm going to show you this one. I framed this one myself. I showed this before, but that was been a while back. So it's in a really cheap kind of plastic frame. It's not even wood. And I just put it on some sticky board because I didn't know about lacing and things like that back in the day. I stitched this back in 1992. And this is a Pat Rogers piece. Oops, sorry for the glare. But I had stitched this back in 1992. Put my name in there. And this, I think, is called Hearts and Flowers Sampler by Pat Rogers. I think you can still find this if you search around on the internet. So this was a piece. And the reason I wanted to show this is because I found another one by Pat Rogers that I had finished. And I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's called Lace and Flowers. I'm not real positive. But it's another Pat Rogers piece. This one's, all of my things in the past, I've only been stitching on even weave on Lugana for the past 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 years. Everything before then, I stitched on Aida. I didn't know how to stitch on anything else. I didn't know really how to do linen or anything. This looks like it's a piece of ivory 18 count linen that this piece is stitched on. And I always just use DMC. So this is DMC. I don't even know if there were overdyes back then. I think there were some silks maybe, but I couldn't afford the silks. So I just did DMC for everything. So this is the other one. This is on a, it's either a 16 or 18 count Aida, and it's in a dark color. It kind of reminds me of the stone gray that I'm doing Elizabeth Weston on. But here's this piece. Sorry for the wrinkles. This has been sitting in a yes, and I used to masking tape my edges. And this one was stitched in 1996. And like I said, I think this is Lace and Flowers. by Pat Rogers. So that's this one. And I'm hoping I'll be able to get the creases out of this one because it's been just sitting in a tote for years. You know, what's 96 and this is 2023. I mean, you know, over 25 years it's been sitting in a tote. And then this one, I think this was a Leisure Arts piece. This is just on maybe antique white, 18 count Aida. And I had a bedroom that was in these colors, a guest room in the other house. And I had hydrangeas, you know, fake ones in a little flower thing to decorate the room and stuff like that. So I thought, oh, this would be perfect to stitch and put in that room. Well, I got it stitched, didn't get around to framing it, and then we moved. And now I don't have any room that has the purple and blues in it in this house. But I still love it. Isn't it pretty? Pretty, 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 pretty. So I did stitch some things back in the day. And I did keep some. Some I just got rid of. I stitched a lot of Paula Vaughn. I don't have any of those. Got rid of all of them. I stitched one with the little girls playing dress up in the attic. All kinds of... Well, I take it back. This is a Paula Vaughn. I forgot the name of this one. This is a quilt pattern one, but it's this one. And this is another piece of off-white Aida with masking tape around the edges, but I'll just cut. You know, take my rotary cutter and I'll cut because I've left myself plenty of room around this piece. So if I ever get around to framing this, it's not a very big piece, but this was a Paula Vaughn with the quilting piece on it. So I did that one, and this was out of a magazine, out of a spring magazine. I think it might have been Just Cross Stitch, or I can't remember which magazine. And this is some kind of blue Aida that I stitched it on. And unfortunately, this one I was married to my ex-husband. My last initial was a G. That's how I know. But that's okay. That's part of my history. And I stitched this one in 2000. That's right, because we split in 2005, him and I. So I did this one. Isn't it cute? It's a nice spring piece. That's why I thought I'd show this one. Cute spring piece. And even though it has a G, my one daughter has never married yet. Her last name is still my maiden name. So it's not a big deal. But, and it's just a G. It's not the whole name. If it was the whole name, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I want my husband's name on my piece. And then this one, I taped to a piece of sticky board with masking tape. And the masking tape is drying out, it looks like, getting all dry. I bet I could just peel that off there super, super easy. But this is another one that looks kind of spring summer. It's a berry bowl. And I don't think the year is on this one. But this is a G. So it would have been before 2005. So it was probably early 2000s, you know, maybe 2001 or something that I stitched this one. And this is on, it looks like an ivory Aida, either a 16 or 18 count. So that's another piece that I stitched way back in the day, over 20 years ago. And then I have one that I didn't finish, but I was stitching on. And this is an old Stoney Creek piece. And I was actually stitching this when my kids were little. And they're in their 30s. So I'll tell you how long ago. This is Stoney Creek Teddy's Trunk of Treasures, leaflet number 97. Look, I was even an ambitious stitcher back then. I like the big things. I don't know what year this one was. Does it say? 1999. Oh no, because my kids would have been older in 1999. I don't know. But it's cute. And I'm stitching it on Aida. It looks like an off-white Aida. Like antique Aida or something. Antique white. And I got this much done. There's even still a needle. At least I was good about putting it way up in the corner, because I did at one point have a needle rust in a piece years ago. And then I got a piece of Ada thread hanging there. There we go. This is where I am. So I did get all of this trunk done, because this is where the quilt is laying over top of the trunk. And then this is the start of the boy bear. So I need to do his head and his little feet and, you know, his little paws. And I got most of the toys down at the bottom. I think there's a couple of marbles I didn't get that are on the floor down here. But it looks like the airplane and the train and the boat are done, except for maybe back stitching. Because, you know, back in the day there was a lot of back stitching, but even just the rope on here. And there was metallic threads in this piece, you know, all through it. So even in the airplane here. And I love those blocks. They look pretty 3D. And the little girl bear, this was the page break. So I done her up to the page break. And I just did the little boy bear's clothes. Isn't it cute? And now my grandkids are even getting too old for this one. But it's so cute, I couldn't just get rid of it. So I still have it. A lot of work in it. So who knows, maybe one day I'll finish this one, just for the heck of it, because I pull it out and want to, for nostalgia's sake, want to finish it. I have tea, and this is my Mount Vernon mug. Since I live in Virginia, I've been to Mount Vernon several times, either on my own with other groups. I took my husband one time when we were dating. We went, and my grandkids and my kids have gone on field trips there. You know, so been to Mount Vernon on several occasions. And the tea that I'm drinking in it is Twinings Lemon and Ginger, because a public service announcement. If you have high blood pressure, just a tip, because I did not know this, and I do have slightly elevated blood pressure, so I have to take a low dose blood pressure med. I'm on the lowest dose, but I do have to watch what can up my blood pressure, and I didn't know this years ago. Before that, I was drinking all kinds of herbal teas, and then I found out after I was diagnosed with high blood pressure that licorice root can raise your blood pressure. And when and it's in a lot of teas. And so when I started looking at the ingredients list on the back of my herbal teas, 9 out of 10 of them had licorice root in them. So I always make sure that I don't have licorice root listed in my teas. If it says, I go to the grocery store and I look and I say, nope, can't drink that one. Nope, can't drink that one. So if you have high blood pressure, do not drink teas that have licorice root in it. That's just an aside note. Just a little freebie information there, because I didn't know. And when I stopped drinking these, my blood pressure did go down. So I always make sure that I pick tea, herbal tea, that does not have licorice root. And speaking of Mount Vernon, I don't know if you all watch Rachel from Linen and Flax. That's her Flosstube channel. And she's also a dyer of fabric. Linen and Flax is her company. She is doing a series on the first ladies and stitching of their time. And she just did her first installment of it, and it was Martha Washington. So she talked about Mount Vernon and Martha and George Washington. And it's very informative and very entertaining. I love history and I love stitching, so it was great. While I was stitching, I was listening to that, and I loved it. So she's going to come out with several more. She's only going to do up to, I think, Barbara Bush. All of the deceased first ladies, for sure, is what she wanted to do. So, drinking my tea, see if I can keep from having to clear my throat. But that's Rachel from Linen and Flax. If you love history, you haven't heard of her, haven't seen her First Ladies series, check it out. It's fun. It's very informative. Very, she brings the people to life. She's done her research on it. She loves history. She's a history buff, and she talks about Mount Vernon, and she talks about the Revolutionary War and all of that kind of things, the things that happened back then. So, the next thing I wanted to show you guys was a little bit of haul. And this is kind of going to be a designer focus haul because I watch, there are 2 stitchers, and I'm sure there are more, but 2 that I have been watching, and I love their channels. Watch them every time they put out a video. I watch it, and that is Heidi. She's stitching Faye on Flosstube, and also Lori. She's Once Upon a Stitch on Flosstube. I watch both of their videos faithfully, and they both stitch on the Sampler Company by Brenda Keys. Those patterns can be a little bit more difficult to find. I found some on Kitten Stitchers, the Shakespeare's Peddler. I found it on her site. I found a couple. She carries some of them. But then I had one of you viewers, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name, tell me that to check out the Colorado Stitcher, that her shop, Sherry, the Colorado Stitcher, her cross-stitch shop, she carries a lot of the Sampler Company. So I went over there and I checked it out, and I ordered 2 or 3 from Kitten Stitcher, and then I went to the Colorado Stitcher, and I went and I picked up a whole bunch more. So I have, you know, a nice selection of the Sampler Company. One of the ones that Heidi, she almost has it finished. She's stitching Faye again. She almost has this one finished, and it's called the Sweet Humility Sampler. She's almost done. I think she just has like 1 tree left or something to do, pretty much. She's finished. It's gorgeous. This piece is absolutely gorgeous. To me, I think it's beautiful. And so I found this one on the Colorado Cross Stitcher, her website, and had to get this one. And I've already kitted it. I've already picked out a piece of light green Lugana that I want to stitch it on. And the Sampler Company uses DMCs. They don't use overdyed, not normally. So I have the DMCs, and I have my fabric. So I'm ready to stitch this one whenever. So this one's kitted, because I'm telling you, Heidi's just inspired me big time. So got this piece, and the piece of Lugana is a piece of 32 count in the color Terrific by Fortnite Fabrics. I had picked that one up when I was out somewhere. Either, I think it might have been Still See Stitchers or the Stitch Con, when they had their trunk shows and they had all of the fabrics on display there. So, and then the next one, this is one that Lori is doing from Once Upon a Stitch. No, I don't think she's finished it. Hers is gorgeous. She's got it about half finished. And it's this one. And this one is called, what's this one called? Plant Wisdom Sampler. Look at that one. This lettering up here is gorgeous. And the cartouche in the middle. And then she has started on these beautiful, colorful houses. Beautiful. Love this one. So this one is on my radar to start hopefully fairly soon. I'm trying to kind of slow my roll on starts a little bit so that I don't have another 100 WIPs. I really don't, you know, I do have to contain my WIP pile to a point. And then the next one is called the New England Sampler by Brenda Keys. I'm going to take them all out of the plastic. I hope I'm not making a lot of noise. I'm trying to keep it a little bit away from the microphone. This is the New England Sampler. So it's got the ship, the little buildings. Oh, and Lori is also stitching this one, Once Upon a Stitch. She's stitching on this one. Beautiful. So I had to get that one. Brenda Keys, the Sampler Company, they've been out for a little while. Like, she's an older designer. She's been around for quite a while. And then this one is called, oh, this one's still in the ugly bag. The ugly bag are the ones that have the sticky flap that once you try to take it out and put it back in, it sticks to your thing. I like to switch them into, you know, Ziploc-y plastic bag tops. I save my plastic bags from other things and use it. But this is called the Tall Ships. I'm just going to try to get the little piece of paper out. I'm not going to pull the whole thing out because then, like I said, I have to get it back in this sticky bag with the sticky, yeah, the Tall Ship sampler. And it looks like this. Isn't that pretty? Oh, little colonial people. She likes to do kind of colonial looking pieces. And then this one is, at least this one's in a zippy bag. This one is called the Country House Sampler. And this one looks like this. I love this whole vignette down here. The people, the sheep, trees, the house. So Country House Sampler by Brenda Keys and the Sampler Company. Because if I mix them up, then I'll have the wrong names for the, because how she, where she has the name is on this piece of paper here. It's not actually on the project itself. It's, so I'm trying to keep them all in the bags. This is an ugly one, ugly bag. This one, Lori is also stitching, and it's the Scottish House Sampler. Actually, I think she just finished it. One of her latest videos, she finished this one. And she did it in a, she did it monochromatic. She picked a DMC blue color. Beautiful. And then this one is Providence Sampler. Again, look at this vignette and then these people. Oh, hopefully it's not reflecting really bad. And look at that border. Providence Sampler. And this one is the Townhouse Sampler. So it looks like this. This one's a longer, skinnier one. Most of them are more squared. This one's a long, skinny piece. I'm short and wide. I'm not long and skinny. This one is the Red House Sampler. And somebody was stitching this one. I want to say maybe Heidi, but I'm not sure. It might have been somebody else, another Flosstuber. Isn't that pretty? Look at that big red house. And then the little couple down here. Looks like he's giving her flowers under the weeping willow. And the little puppy dog right over here. Isn't this cute? Birds and deer and rabbits. So those are my, that is my stash of Brenda Keys, the Sampler Company. Those are some recent pieces that I had recently purchased. I'm straightening my legs out. I can't sit with my knees bent too long. So, tea break. And then just two more things to show you. This is an organization idea, and this is not my idea, but I thought perfect. I diamond paint, and I use all kinds of different containers to put my drills in, my little diamond beads for diamond painting. But I had never thought about using some of the container type of things for my Mill Hill beads for my kits, like my my beautiful fancy ladies, my Mirabilias, my Bella Filipinas, my lavender and lace pieces that all take beads. And I was watching Samantha, the Hygge Stitcher. She's the Hygge Stitcher. It's spelled H-Y-G-G-E Stitcher. She's Canadian. Sweet, sweet lady. She stitches a lot of Mirabilias, does a lot of beautiful stitching. She was talking about this organization, and she was talking about where she had seen it, and I had actually watched that same video. So it took two people saying it for me to go, ding, light bulb, come on. Let's do it. It sounds perfect. It's an organization for my Mill Hill beads. Vonna Pfeiffer was showing it, where she uses the little, like, kind of like tic-tac looking containers, and she puts her beads in those. So Samantha, the Huga Stitcher, I was just watching her a few days ago, and she was talking about how she is inspired to maybe do that for her beads organization, because she was showing how she organizes her beads, which is kind of similar. She uses kind of like what I use for my bobbin boxes, and she cuts the top a little bit where the little hole is at the top where they hang them on the displays in the stitching stores, and so that they'll fit in the little clothes, and that's how she stores hers. But I wanted to take Vonna Pfeiffer's idea, and the one that Samantha, the Huga Stitcher, had mentioned, and use the little Tic Tac containers. And so I went this week and I organized my beads. And this Tic Tac container, I just ordered, well, it's not really called Tic Tac, it's called Bead Organization. There are 64 of these small, they look like Tic Tac, you know, what you used to get Tic Tacs in, sorry for the loud noise. It clamps closed pretty tightly, but it's a little container. And it has a little flip top lid, so you can shake out the amount of beads that you want to shake out, and then you can pour them back in. If it's hard for you to get it back in the little hole, you can just pull the whole top off. Oop, yeah, I say that now, it won't do it. You can, isn't that one coming off? Let me do this one. You can pull the tops off, and you can pour it in your container, you know, easier. I have little diamond art trays that I can use that have a little funnel end. So my beads are in here. And then this one is 00081. Am I reading that right? I didn't bring my glasses over. So these beads, I know, are in here. And I put them all in numerical order. I grabbed all of my beads out of all of my projects, all of my Mirabilias. I grabbed the beads out of them and I put them in here. And then all of the the beads I had from back when I did lavender and lace pieces, all the leftover beads I had. And so I put them all in the one container so that I could, and actually there's overflow into another container. This isn't all of my beads, but this is most of them. So I have them all in numerical order. I can even see them. When I want to order a new chart or see where I have my beads and I need one of them, like 0218, I can find it really, really super easy. And then if I'm just looking for a particular bead by color, like say I'm looking for a green bead and I'm like, oh, here's a lime green, here's a tealish green, here's a frosty, you know, a metallic-y looking green, more of a Christmassy, you know, I have different, I can see kind of what's all in there. And then some of them I had 2 or 3 packages of, because they were for several different projects, or some I just had the leftover beads from a project, and things like that. So I can also see at a glance, really quick and easy, what I have in my beads. So I keep these in my closet with my beading needles and my tacky bill or tacky bob. I don't remember which one it is, but and then that way when I'm ready to start beading my projects, I have everything all in one spot. So it took me a while to do. I had to get all of my beads out of all of my project bags that had beads in them, and out of my stash of beads that I had. I'd showed when I did my craft room tour video, I'd showed where I had a cigar box, a wooden cigar box that they were just thrown in there. But it was harder for me to see what I had. I would have to get them out. And I would have had to dig through each of these projects. Because case in point, I ordered a Bella Filipina that I want to start soon. And I was looking and seeing which beads I already had. 3 of the beads I already had, so I did not order them. Now, if a project says it needs 2 packs of beads or 3 packs of that bead, that particular color, I'll go ahead and order them because I probably don't have enough then. But sometimes for a lot of projects, you might only need half of the amount of beads that are in the bead container, and then you're going to have leftovers. So you can use them for another project. So now I can see what I have really, really quick and easy and find it. So that is just an organization, kind of passing it forward. So it was a Vonna Pfeiffer idea, passing it forward. In case you haven't seen that video. If you haven't watched Vonna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher, check her out. She is awesome. So the other idea I got from Jessica, the Sweetwater Stitcher. And so she's the Sweetwater Stitcher on Flosstube. And she was showing, I think it's Nicola Parkman, somebody, has these little travel cases. Well, this is a jewelry case that I picked up at Target for about $20. And it zips closed. And and Jessica had gotten this and showed this idea. And when you get it, it has these compartments. But this compartment right here has a ring storage area. So it has all these little hump things where you can stick your rings in there. But you can just pull that right out. It comes out really easy. So there was some glue left in this compartment where those were glued down. So I had gone in and I actually have magnets under this scrapbooking paper. So I just kind of decorated it with a couple of pieces of scrapbooking paper and a couple of stickers. I actually added a little bit of glue onto the back of these stickers just to make sure they don't start pilling up too easy. And decorated my little case, my little jewelry case. So I just took the ring section out. There are magnets underneath here, the magnets that I use when I make my own needle minders. So this needle minder magnetizes, went upside down, magnetizes in there. And this also is my counting pins. So when you're wanting to count, I sometimes use this. If I'm wanting to count over several stitches, like I want to count over 50 stitches, like I need to count over 52 stitches, and then I put the needle in there so that I know that's where 52 is, and then I can just stitch on over to there. But this would be magnetized in there so it doesn't fall out. You know, those magnets are holding that stuff, so that makes that nice. I haven't put a bunch of stuff in here because I'm waiting. I was waiting to show you guys how I decorated mine. And then I'm thinking of putting my needle, packets of needles, like my John James or my Bowen needles, in here, in this part. And then I put a pair of scissors. I just fed them through this little strap here. So they stay in place until I'm ready to take it with me and use them. So I have a small pair of scissors in there, just showing you real quick. So you can put your needles, your scissors, needle minders. I have my counting pin. I want to put my snag nabbit in here. I want to put a small seam ripper in here in case I have to frog when I'm on the go. Just different things like that are going to go in here. I could put thread magic or a waxer. I don't use those a whole lot, and I don't use a threader a whole lot, but I'll probably put one in here just to make sure I have, again, because sometimes when you're on the go, you don't know what you're going to want at that time. And then it'll just all zip up in here, and it'll go with me wherever I go. So that was just another share from another stitcher. Looking at the wrong side of my device again. So that is it. That is everything. That is my WIP. That is old projects that I have stitched on. That was an organization idea for you guys, a travel case idea for you guys, a tip on herbal tea, and so that was just an extra. That was just an extra little public service announcement. But that is everything. That is all I have for you guys. So I'm hoping, I know it was 3 weeks this time. I don't know if 3 weeks is going to be more my sweet spot, but I'm trying to get back and do videos regularly, like at least every 2 to 4 weeks. So it might be 3 weeks. I don't know. I'm not real sure. But I'll be checking in with you guys. Definitely, what is this? Hopefully by the end of March, because this is March 8th. So we got about 3 weeks left of March. Hopefully by the end of March, I'll be able to get back with you guys. Because some of the other things I'm working on. Oh, I'm going to show you well, I got my chart on it. Another idea that I got from the Huga Stitcher, Samantha. Let me go grab it real quick. Because I really do want to show you guys this idea. Hold on. She was talking about how she works on her Mirabilias. And I use a magnetic board. But when I use a magnetic board, I use a regular size one that holds like just a sheet of paper, like a 8.5 by 11 kind of size. She uses a larger, it's by Loran, magnet board. I'm going to try to cover some of my, so when you're working with Mirabilias, they're on a huge sheet. They're not just on little sheets of paper. So she uses a large, hold on, a large, I already have my Spring Queen that I want to start soon on here. So she uses a large one, holds it up with magnets. So then when you're stitching on this, I had it on my crafting table in my craft room. This is just it's soft and squishy. It's for a, I think it holds a tablet or whatever, you know, for if you're playing video games or whatever on your tablet. It has a little ledge and it folds closed. So I take it with me on trips and it holds my charts. So I just have it on here. She uses the Loran stand that you can buy that's the same company as the magnetic metal board. But this one, because it's large, it's a good size board. It will hold more of your piece. So, you know, before with my Mirabilias, I was folding them all up and then putting them on my magnet board. But the more you fold and unfold a piece of paper, you fold it, unfold it, fold it, unfold it, you can start to crack the paper in the crease, your fold crease. And I've done that before. And then it's hard to read those symbols in the place where you keep folding your paper. So this one was already folded at this area. And I'm thinking if it keeps me from folding it up too much, and I can see a larger amount of my pattern all at once. And when I do this, I will probably sit at my crafting desk in here then and stitch when I'm stitching on a Mirabilia piece. Because those, like I said, Mirabilias and lavender and lace, those both come on a huge sheet. And usually about half of the project's on one side and then you flip it over and the other half's on the back side. So, like I can show you just a real quick on this one. If you've never seen a Mirabilia chart before, I'm just going to flash it super, super quick. But half comes on this side and half comes on this side. So if you can fold it in just the half side, you know, and then put it on a big, huge board, I think that's going to work a lot better. And then the thing that I use this in the other room. I can set this on the couch next to me and put my piece on a smaller magnet board usually. And then I use the magnets to follow along. You know, I just kind of push them along. Most people I stitch vertically, so I push the piece along vertically. So I've done a row, 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 row. If you're horizontal, you just go 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows. And as you stitch that row, you just move it down the next one and stitch it and move it down. And that helps me a lot keep track. But I am also finding on Mirabilia pieces that I'm highlighting also, because it just makes it easier to see what I've already stitched. So that's how I tackle Mirabilias and lavender and lace pieces. But this I can take with me and I can sit on the sofa next to me, because you can have it on the sofa and, you know, even though the sofa is wobbly or whatever, this is really stable. And it's lightweight. It's soft and squishy. Because you could sit it on your lap and put your tablet on here and look at something. You know, that's what it's meant for. But I use it for my charts. And then it folds closed, so it's a little smaller. Got this off of Amazon. And then I can stick it in my bag and take it with me to cross stitch retreats. And it kind of snaps closed, so you got to get it apart. And you can have it slanted way down, or you can pull it almost upright. And then this can act like a little tray inside here. So you could put a pair of scissors and some needles and whatever in here, in your thread even. And as long as it's a pack of needles. I wouldn't put a loose needle in there because it might still could come out. But you could put a few of your little things in there and travel with it that way too. So I love this to hold my projects up. And like I said, I just got it off of Amazon. I think it was $20 or something. And I got the board, the Low-Rand, look it up, Low-Rand magnetic large board. And I think it was around $20. So, and it even has different size magnets. So it has a large magnet, a couple of smaller magnets, and a little bit of a medium size magnet. So it comes with several magnets. And that's it. Now I'm finished. I happened to look over and I saw that and I said, oh, wait a minute. I was going to tell you guys about that too, the magnet board. That was from Samantha, the Huga Stitcher. So if you're watching this, Samantha, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the tip. I think it's going to be great for working on my Mirabilias, and I wanted to pass it along in case somebody hasn't seen that good idea from you, and get them to check out your channel also. So that is it, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. I hope that you have a wonderful March, if I don't get back to you before then. And I guess that's it. So I wish you guys health, happiness, and love. And until the next time, everybody, happy stitching. Bye.